Hello everyone and welcome back to the AP World History Essay Writing DBQ module Document Analysis. This is where we go over how to use the documents. Remember that if it's on the board or it's displayed in a presentation, you should be writing it down. And as I go through a presentation and I state something of importance, then you should also write that down as well. Remember, you've got a nice, clean new notebook that you've been using for your AP World History DBQ essay writing modules. It'll help you stay organized. Make sure you write the title of the lesson and the slide title each time that you go through and take notes. This one, the DBQ use of the documents, goes through an overview of document analysis necessary for successful performance on the AP World History DBQ essay. As always, email me with any question that you have about essay writing or the prerequisite work in general. I am definitely here to help. You can always come by my room too. You don't have to necessarily send me an email. Okay, first let's talk about using the documents. The documents you must utilize the content of the documents to support your thesis, or in other words, your argument. Make sure you understand that thesis and argument are synonymous of each other when talking about the AP World History DBQ essay. So you must utilize the content of the documents, and you must use all 7 documents. You're going to be given 7, no more, no less. It's always 7 documents. And you must use all of them. That is worth 2 points. In my classroom, I don't do if you use half, you get 1 point. It's all or nothing. It's either 0 or 2. So use all of the documents. And when using the documents, you must go beyond repeating or simply paraphrasing information from the document. You have to explain the information from the document to demonstrate you understand what it means. And you must use the content by explaining the connection to the thesis. Right, and that's how it is supportive, or that's how it's used as evidence, as proof, when you can thoroughly explain the connection to the answer. This next point is absolutely crucial. No quoting. That does not demonstrate an understanding of the document. You should never, ever quote from a document. I could get a book of quantum mechanics and read from it, quote it word for word, and I'm probably not going to know what I'm saying. That's why we don't quote. It does not demonstrate an understanding of the information. And each document should have an explanation statement separate from everything else. So just like you have 3 separate statements for your thesis and 3 separate statements for your argument development, when you get into the body paragraphs for each of your 3 answers, the documents that you use within that body paragraph to support that particular answer, each statement from a document must be its own sentence, its own statement. Now, primary sources, they can be textual or visual, and this provides historians with valuable information about the past and allows them to make arguments about historical events and processes. And it's very important to understand that some primary sources are complicated. So historians must analyze these sources using specific skills. Historical thinking involves describing, selecting, and evaluating relevant evidence about the past from diverse sources, and drawing conclusions about the relevance of the source to different historical issues. And historical analysis focuses on the connection between content of the source and the author, their point of view, their purpose, the audience, and the format of that source. Also, with primary sources, historians must assess the usefulness, the reliability, and limitations of the source as historical evidence. This is very important in determining basically the legitimacy of the information within that source. Secondary sources are also both textual and visual. They can be presented in a variety of ways. However, there are conflicting secondary sources that can lead to very different interpretations of the past. including a development of different causes for certain events or different effects that certain events have had, and also helps provide models of periodization. Basically, periodization is determining the time periods in world history. For example, the last time period that we study in this class is 1900 in the present. So determining the periodization for period 6 or part 6, what's the significance of the year 1900? That means it's a turning point in world history. That's periodization. And you also need to examine how the context in which the historian writes can influence his or her interpretation of the past. So the time, the location, the situation of that particular secondary source could influence how they write about something, whether it was 5 years before, 50 years before, 500 years before, or 5,000 years before. And how other disciplines can offer insights into the past. That can help historians build and solidify their interpretations, right? If we have scientific evidence from biologists or chemists or anything from another discipline or another field of study, economists, politicians, that can offer insights for historians when evaluating a secondary source. So it's important to keep in mind, does the excerpt from the source contain information, and what is the claim within that information? What analysis does the author offer in terms of cause and effect? Does the theme of the source, what does the author focus on with that theme? Excuse me. And what kinds of evidence does the author provide in order to support what they're saying within their source? Those are all very complicated parts of understanding primary and secondary sources, but it's very, very important. And as a student, you should be able to explain the relevance of the content of the information and then apply that content accurately to support your argument. Again, if you have any questions, please email me, come by and see me. I'm here to help. I can go through and explain this in a different way if I need to. But if you need anything, please let me know. And happy quizzing!